Let's go fishing. Decided to start my day off by fishing the pier with the red crankbait. This was the same lure that I not only hooked up on what would have been a PB smallmouth, but also in that giant fish that I missed in a previous video. So as you see, I tried where I hooked up on that PB smallmouth, also started casting around in other areas where I've caught smallmouth bass before. And while I end up fishing this spot during low tide sometimes and still catch fish, the biggest risk is snagging up on all the rocks on the bottom. And as you saw, I lost my favorite red crankbait, RIP. So I decided to toss out a rattle trap that I had. It's not my typical silver one. It's actually one that I bought at Ollie's really cheap. And it's got a small piece of reflective tape in the middle of it. So I cast it around, but I saw my red crankbait floating. I figured I'd try to save it, but I ended up putting in a decent cast here. And I'm glad I accidentally cast it in that spot because that's when this happened. Fish on. Now this felt very similar to the day that I hooked up on that what would have been a PB smallmouth bass. At first it felt like reeling in a wet rag, but as the bass came to the surface I realized I hooked up on a decent largemouth bass. It was sitting in that same spot right by that rock as what would have been the PB smallmouth, but look at this, nice decent largemouth bass. And it was on a rattle trap I haven't caught anything on before, nice plus. So you know me, I had to just cast in that same area to see if there were any other fish hanging out by the rocks. But after no luck there, I went to another spot that I've caught fish on rattle traps before, and I almost lost a rattle trap. Thankfully I was able to save it, but then I switched over to a jig. I rarely fish bottom baits here because of how rough the bottom is, but with the heat being so bad recently, I figured it was worth a shot. Back in my hometown when it was hot, I would usually switch to bottom baits like this, giving it some slow movement so that way any fish that are lethargic from all the heat might bite. But as I was moving the jig around, a guy came to ask me what type of fish are in the area. As you saw, I showed him the fish that I caught maybe about 30-ish, 45 minutes before. And here this guy on a jet ski needed some help getting in. He had been towed in by a boat and then basically had to throw me the rope to the pier to pull him in. Always happy to help and always happy to chat with anybody, including locals. And I decided to break out this broken back looking minnow thing. It had a deep bill on it, so I figured I could get a little bit deeper than my other ones, but as you saw, I lost that. I put it right into a tree. I seemed to have a knack for that. So then I switched over to an underspin, which I had never caught anything on before. Thought I had something here, but ended up just snagging it. And people swear by the underspin, but I'm still trying to see how it works. I was able to save the underspin and keep casting around. Around then is when my buddy Colin showed up. Dude catches tons of fish. We call him the local Jeremy Wade. And then as we were fishing, we actually got to watch a smallmouth bass chasing a bait fish. Super cool to see. I mean, it was like right in front of us. And with only one hook up on the underspin that I guess I forgot to film, here's when I started throwing around the chatterbait. I've had bites off of the pier on the chatterbait before, but few and far between. Now the chatterbait was about the same color as the bait fish, but I decided to switch back to the rattle trap for a quick clip, just because it looks similar to the bait fish. And as you saw in that last clip, you saw a couple bait fish jumping. And in the last clip, I also decided to cast around a fluke to see if that would work. But with not much luck the rest of the day, I had to go home. But Colin moved further down the bank and ended up catching some stripers and largemouth bass.